Hey everyone, this is Matt from howtomakemobilegames.com on October the 20th, 2017, and it's a Friday here, still in South China at the moment and heading to England in about 7 days. So a lot of preparation and packing things have to happen, so it's going to be a big change. Sorry for not doing a video this past week, guys. There has been a lot going on. Moved from the previous apartment and now back in my wife's hometown for a few days before we do move. Aside from that, just some news as well. When I go back to England, I'm interviewing for jobs at the moment and looking around, so that's been pretty interesting, and I've spoken with some pretty cool companies back in England, so that's what will be happening when I'm back there. I can't share any specific details right now, of course, and I probably won't, obviously because this is a public channel. But the channel will continue, guys, so don't worry. Whatever happens, I will be talking about games and apps and revenue and all that stuff, so it's all good. This video is just talking about where can we publish now. When I say we, I mean we as game developers, app developers. So I watched a video last night talking about Steam, and this was from The Know, which is a pretty big YouTube channel. They always talk about games and AAA games and the gaming market in general, mainly focusing on console though. And one of the things they said was is there too many games on Steam now? And they said that I think it was by the end of 2017, by the end of this year, there's going to be 6,000 games available on Steam. Now, I don't use Steam. I have used Steam before a couple of times. I know what Steam is. I've been around it, but I'm not a frequent user of Steam. But that does sound like a lot, but not a lot compared to obviously like the 2 billion games and apps that we have available on Google Play and the App Store and so on. But their point was that 6,000 is a huge number, considering it's only games, and considering a lot of those games are higher quality games as well. And they showed the rate of increase as well. They showed like 2000 and it must have been like from the year 2000 up till 2017 or something. But the past few years, the growth has just been exponential. It was like 700 new games were added in 2016 or something, and then like, I don't know, it was like 1,600 or 2,000 new games this year by the end of the year is estimated. So it was a ton of games. And on Steam, they used to have this Greenlight thing, and I didn't know what this was before. I'd heard of Greenlight. And basically what that was that the community had to vote on which games were greenlit and would be allowed onto the Steam platform to be published on Steam. So it was sort of like a public vote kind of thing, and if it got enough votes, then you could go on there, and that was called Greenlight. And they cancelled this in order to curb the amount of trash games or shovelware or craps, whatever you want to call them, that were on the Steam platform, like flipping, art asset flips, game copies. And what they did is a new one called Steam Direct, is where you have to pay to publish your game on Steam. But that didn't slow anybody down. I don't know how much Steam Direct costs, but it didn't slow any of the growth of the number of games that are on the Steam platform. So I guess they're actively trying to reduce the amount of games that are published on their platform, because they know it's not great for the players to go shoveling around tons and tons and tons of games. And the other thing is, it divides up the revenue so much that those top quality developers maybe won't focus on the Steam platform as much and might look elsewhere. So the question is, as I've mentioned in other videos, like as game developers, as app developers, mainly as game developers, but where do we publish now? Where is the new opportunities? I mean, I know a few of you guys on the channel had mentioned Steam a few times, and I thought, oh, well, that sounds interesting, yeah. And the back of my mind, though, I was always like, well, Steam is also a saturated store, isn't it? But the different thing about Steam is that a lot of the users are more geared up for paying money, premium. Steam is more of a premium store, whereas mobile is just a free store completely. Freemium revenue of free-to-play games beat out premium games like years ago. You know, the mass amount of money now on the app stores comes from freemium apps and games. So, but Steam is a more premium store, but it is still now becoming saturated, and arguably is already saturated. So the question is, where do we publish? I mean, there's things like itch.io I've heard of, which is a web store. Now, I don't know if itch.io is like a premium store where people would download, you know, like an executable file, and that's got like DRM wrapping it up so that it's protected. Or if it's a web HTML sort of store, you know, where you build out an HTML5 game and you play it in the browser, similar to Kongregate. So there is that one, but I need to check it out. And guys, as I'm saying this as well, like I'm not able to produce a lot of solutions here in the video, I'm just sharing my thoughts. But if you guys do have any ideas, that would be really good. Please let us know, definitely, you know, share with the guys on the forum. Before I forget, guys, this just popped into my mind about the forum before I go into the next, talking about what we're talking about. The YouTube Pro channel, guys, if you've seen this on YouTube, if you've subscribed to the YouTube Pro channel and you're paying the $3 a month, soon that's going to be cancelled. From December the 1st, YouTube said that they will be cancelling paid channels or something, whatever it was. So from December the 1st onwards, you won't be able to see these videos anymore. However, they are available on the forum, guys. All of these videos that I do, the pro videos, are available on the pro section of the forum, howtomakemobilegames.com. So all you have to do is unsubscribe to the YouTube channel and just go to the top section in howtomakemobilegames.com, and you can subscribe there for $3. So it's the same price, but they're not connected systems. So you have to unsubscribe to YouTube and then use PayPal to subscribe to the Pro section. So guys, please do that. I know there's a few of you on the YouTube Pro channel watching these videos. So if you do, please cancel that one and go to howtomakemobilegames.com and the Pro section at the top. It's just YouTube, guys, you know, as I've mentioned it like tons of times before, YouTube and Google and any company that is the gateway between you and your customers, who decides if your content can go live or not, it is a very dangerous situation. Now, luckily this channel isn't like a major revenue stream for myself. It's just a bit of extra money each month, which is great. But imagine a company that has a YouTube channel, or like we've seen with Google Play before, they just cancel games and cancel channels, and that whole adpocalypse thing that you've probably heard of on YouTube, people's entire lives and businesses revolve around that. And because it goes through a single company, they don't have any communication directly one-to-one with their customers. That is such a risky business model. And, you know, as I've just said, the same thing happened with the Pro channel on YouTube. So definitely come on to howtomakemobilegames.com, the Pro channel at the top, and you can subscribe there, and unsubscribe to the YouTube channel. So I'll do a separate video about that. Anyway, on to what I was talking about. So Kongregate, that's a possible one, but it's very free, very freemium. There is itch.io, which is another one which also they do publish Unity games built with HTML5, I believe, and I don't know if they do like standalone games. Obviously things like the Mac App Store as well. However, the Mac App Store is very small in terms of its user base. But what I will say, guys, is that the poker game that I built, what was it, like a month ago, finally published it 1 month ago or so, or 3 weeks ago, whatever, hasn't made any money at all on the on any of the stores, apart from a very tiny, like a few cents on iOS and maybe like $1 or $2 on Amazon. Really nothing. On the Mac App Store, I changed it to $1 as opposed to free, and it gets 2 downloads a day. So I know that's tiny money. It is super small, but users are willing to pay $1 for the game. So, and it's worth it for sure. It's definitely worth $1. So that's great. And I might change the other ones for Varex Poker on iOS, Amazon, and Google Play. I might change those to $1 as well. And if it makes $5 a day, then great. You know, that'll be nice to see. But yeah, that's interesting. Things like Apple TV as well. We have published a couple of games on Apple TV before, only 2, very small casual games. Makes very low money. They are $1, and they're sort of very small, like sort of ketchup style games. One's Twist and a Twist clone, and the other one is a I can't remember, Zigzag clone, I think it might be. So that was published on Apple TV. Only makes $1 or so a day. However, Apple TV is not very saturated from what I've seen so far. For example, when I search for poker, it has 200 results when I search for poker through App Annie the other day. But a lot of those, after say like the first 10 results, were not poker really. They were just like TV apps. So I don't know, maybe the TV companies who had published the apps had put like poker in the keywords, or maybe they get mixed with the poker results or something, I don't know, but there wasn't a lot of poker games, so the results are not too saturated. Again, it is a much smaller install base for Apple TV. We just released a video poker game on there like 2 days ago, and I've not checked the statistics yet. That's a free game, but I'm thinking it might be better to just go premium on those things, like for Apple TV, for Mac App Store. We've not tackled things like the Amazon Fire TV or the Amazon Stick, but I think in order to really tackle those stores well, we're going to have some premium content. And when I mean what I mean by premium is high quality content, or higher, you know, not AAA. You know, I think I've heard the phrase like lowercase a or something, lowercase AAA. You know, because obviously AAA, we're talking like Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider, or you know, the new Doom game, Doom 4 or whatever it was. You know, that's AAA, and that's, you know, millions of dollars. Or what's the other one, Overwatch or something like that. That's AAA. So what I mean is higher quality indie content that is polished onto those stores, and sell them for $3 to $5 maybe. That might be a better model. So that's another possible store as well, but so far we've not seen great results. Mac has not worked for us in terms of freemium. Apple TV has not worked for us in terms of freemium either. We've actually released an Apple TV freemium game, I just remembered, and that was a pachinko slots game. I don't think it made any money. I think we had in-app purchases in there, or it might have been paid, I can't remember, but I'll have to double check on that one, guys. But either way, it's not made a lot of money. So I think more premium content is definitely going to be the way to go for those types of stores, for any developer who's making higher quality content. Steam as well, as we mentioned. I don't know if there's a lot of other... There's that Humble Bundle. I don't know if that's a separate store, if that's just part of Steam. I don't know about that. I'll have to look into that more. Mobile, I think just staying away from mobile is the best bet. I mean, if your game is geared for freemium, and if you're using Unity and you can build a quick, you know, Android and iOS version, then why not? But, you know, never expect to do good on mobile anymore. I think it's almost impossible. And it's not a high quality gaming platform either, in my opinion. I almost never play games on mobile, even though we make for mobile. So, you know, that's a bit of a contradiction. What else is there? iPad is a little bit different, obviously, because it's a larger form factor. Still going straight, baby. So, other stores, let me think. Obviously, things like console as well, Xbox, PlayStation 4 and Switch. Now, with those guys, they're not as saturated, of course, because they have a curated store. They basically check every single game that goes onto their store. Now, I don't know how deeply they play every single game, but it's not an open market. It's not like, you know, as far as I'm aware, it's not. There is Xbox Indie, which I heard about a while ago, but I don't know if that's on Xbox One, and I don't know how much that is checked by the stores, you know, the quality, entry quality barrier. I'll have to find out about that. But it is, with Unity, obviously it's possible. There's been plenty of games made for PlayStation, Xbox and Switch using Unity, and that's one of the beauties of Unity, is the cross-platform functionality. But in terms of actually getting game onto the Xbox Store, the eShop on Nintendo Switch or PlayStation Network, whatever it's called, I've not used a console in quite a while, guys. The last console I had was literally 8 years ago, and that was an Xbox 360, and it red ringed on me and died. But when I'm back in England, hopefully I'll get into more console gaming, and I might pick up a PS4 possibly. But those platforms as well. But those guys, they do want high quality content. They will not accept craps or shovelware or anything like that, which is a good thing. That is a good thing. So if you do have high quality content with many hours of gameplay, really well polished game, doesn't matter if it's indie, that's okay. It doesn't have to be AAA. It doesn't have to be Rise of the Tomb Raider or I'm thinking of Quantum of Singularity. These are just new games that I've been watching online recently. Those types of games. It doesn't have to be that high level. So there's those stores as well. There was another store I was thinking about, but it slipped my mind, so it probably wasn't a major one. Oculus, that was it. Talking about VR as well. Mobile VR, as we said in the forum, I think Roman, you mentioned you'd been doing VR games for a while now. I think maybe the past year or two. Mobile VR primarily on iOS, but that's just become a saturated area as well. It's been chock-a-blocked with freemium VR games, probably because they've put in things like what's the big VR ad network, I've forgotten the name now, but they've probably done that, or they're probably doing an upsell inside of the game. But there's basically a ton of VR games now. Maybe new areas of opportunity might be AR. I know that Apple has just released its AR kit, I think maybe a couple of months ago. Android now has its AR Core, which is available in Unity as well, and there's also I keep on forgetting the name, Viberium? I keep forgetting the name, guys, but the cross-platform AR plugin that you can use in Unity that allows you to deploy AR to both iPhone and Android, so it's platform agnostic. However, for Oculus, and talking about VR, so Oculus PC, the install base is not really there. We released the Virimid in February this year. It's only made $64. Now that might be that it just wasn't premium enough content. It might be that it's just dropped right to the very bottom of the store and the keywords were not very good. That's possible. That's all possible. It might just be that it didn't catch with the Oculus players out there. So again, that's one of those things where kind of figuring out if it was, is the store saturated already, or is it just because there's not enough players, which obviously leads to saturation because demand is not high enough. But I did watch a presentation recently, a business presentation talking about VR, and they were very excited about it. But one of the things they did mention is that the amount of games and apps that were available for VR when it was first released, like the Oculus back in, March 2016, there was already a ton of games available. PS4 VR probably had less because it's not one of those open platforms that anyone can build for. You have to be a developer for the PlayStation Network, or you have to have a PS4 dev kit for sure in order to publish onto the PlayStation Network. But there was a ton of VR games already. I mean, I think when in 2015 I was looking at VR, there was already a ton of content available. I think Unity was probably supporting VR, or there was things like the Duravis SDK that was already available for mobile VR back then. HTC Vive, obviously as well, is pretty popular when it comes to Steam, and they also have the Vive Port store now as well, which I don't know if that's a part of the HTC Vive, or whether you can add that to your PC and then that becomes your store for the HTC Vive. I'm not sure, but there is that store as well. However, there is a ton of VR games, and I don't know whether they are making money or not. Better than mobile, or better than like the standard 2D games that you might release on Steam. So that's the main question, really: is where are the possibilities or opportunities? Games always change. Games tend to go through, cycles of ups and downs, of the indie apocalypse, of not the apocalypse, but what was it called? In the 1980s, there was the video game crash in 1982, 1983, when there was just a ton of shovelware released on things like onto the Atari 2600. And then there was the rise of Nintendo and the higher quality home consoles like Sega Master System. Indies seemed to do really well in the 90s, I believe, or better in the 90s, and then late 2000s, obviously the app stores, and then it was really good, and then app stores became too saturated. So there's always the ups and downs, and games always change, the platforms always change, so there are always opportunities. We're just trying to figure out where. The main thing is that having high quality content should always get users and attract players to get your game, so long as it's got some visibility. One of the big stories I did hear recently was that the new game Cuphead, by an indie developer, the one that took 10 years, I think I mentioned it in another video, sold 1 million copies in the first 2 weeks, which is insane. That's an amazing number. That's so huge. I don't know how much it was per copy. I think it might have been $20 or $30. $20-30 and 1 million copies each, and you know, obviously the Xbox platform and Steam, they take their cut, but to the developer that's going to be huge, and that's an indie company, that's their only game, and that's amazing. But that was a huge amount of time and a huge risk, and I do know developers who build games for a number of years and never get that far, you know, so it was quite unique. It was a pretty unique game, so congratulations to those guys. Sonic Mania as well, games like that, of course, but they've got backing from Sega. So, you know, it really depends. Where are users used to paying for games? For example, Nintendo Switch, okay? The mentality of the user is that they have to pay. Xbox, the store, I don't know the exact name of their e-store, but the PlayStation Network, their store, the users are used to paying for games. They expect to pay for their games, whether it's a premium of like £50 or a slightly more indie one for about £20 or $30, whatever it may be. They are expecting to pay. There is that natural flow, the natural mentality of needing to pay money to acquire this game. Whereas on mobile, it is not there anymore. It is completely not there. And I even watched a presentation from GDC recently by a guy, and he was saying that he just doesn't do mobile at all. He just does premium, and he just does it on desktop, and that's all he targets, because the users are prepared to pay for that. They used to pay for it, but mobile, it just doesn't happen anymore. So, but yeah, so anyway, just food for thought, guys. I better stop the video now because I don't think I have many minutes left, but again, I'll do another video hopefully before I head off to England, but definitely more videos when I am in England. I'll give you a little tour around there of where I'm staying. But guys, let me know your thoughts on all this, and it'll be great to catch up with you soon. Happy developing. Oh, guys on the YouTube channel, come to howtomakemobilegames.com and sign up there and cancel your YouTube subscription, okay? Because it's going to be cancelled soon. So guys, I'll catch up with you later. Happy developing. Bye-bye.